Okay, committee, we are now streaming live on YouTube. So it's my pleasure to introduce Community Board 10 member Henry Stewart, who will be chairing our Parks Committee meeting this evening. Henry?
Thank you, Josephine. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming to this meeting of the Parks Committee of Community Board 10. Our chair, Diane Gennardis, couldn't be here this evening, so I'm acting as chair for tonight. There's just one item on the agenda, which is the renovation of Russell Peterson Playground on Colonial Road. So I'll just turn it over to the Parks Department for its presentation.
Great. I'm just going to share my screen. And before I do, I see Sophie from State Senator Gennardis' office. Thank you for joining for this. This is great. A lot of Gennardis love in CB10, I can tell. So
yeah,
in multiple generations.
And also Basil Kapitanakis is here. He's also representing Assemblyman.
Yes. Good evening, everybody.
Oh, hello. I didn't notice that. Hey, hello. Thank you for joining. All right, Mike, I'm going to share the screen and let me just. All right. Can everyone see this?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Mike, you all good to go?
Okay, so Russell Peterson Playground, we have $5.4 million council funded. The project is roughly 1.37 acres. The goals of this project are to separate the areas for adults from the areas for children, improve circulation throughout, upgrade the play equipment, the water play features, and the fitness equipment, add seating areas, and provide better, more welcoming entrances and perimeter. You all know that the park is adjacent to the Fort Hamilton High School athletic fields and sport courts. And we are outside the flood risk zone, outside of the MS4 system. Mainly residential around the site. And you know, it's the nicest, biggest park in the neighborhood, aside from the Shore Road Park. This is an existing aerial just showing the features that are in the park right now. So from 83rd Street, we have the 10-foot swings and the 5 to 12 play, and there's a standalone slide. We have 2 to 5 play. The center has a comfort station, spray area, and adult fitness. And then as we get towards 85th Street, there's a basketball court and 8 handball courts. Either just some site photos of the existing play equipment and the swings. They both have 4 bays. The standalone slide and the painted game. And the rather large, well-used adult fitness area. From our community input back in December, we sort of put together all the notes that we all took and came up with this sort of chart showing what the biggest interests were. And then we have existing conditions, more of a diagram, just kind of reacquainting with the site. From that, we came up with this bubble diagram. The main things we wanted to do was improve the circulation. And to do that, we thought a new corner entrance at 83rd Street and Colonial Road would be beneficial and would add to the safety. Now, the entrance would be closer to the crosswalks. We also thought we could combine the 2 entrances on Colonial Road opposite 84th Street into one centralized entrance, and that would help to set up the framework for the circulation of the site. This is our schematic. So in the next slide, we have an enlargement. So this is the corner of 83rd Street and Colonial Road where we have our new entrance. Just inside the entrance would be a nice seating area, shaded seating area overlooking the play area. This would have cafe tables, which would be a great space for picnics or birthday parties. Further down the path, we would come into the 2 to 5 play with painted games, and across the fence by the athletic fields, we would keep the existing 8-foot swings and sort of move the existing 10-foot swings so that they're sort of in line and across the back. We'd still have the same number of swings that we currently have, and we'd be providing one bay of accessible swings on both sets. As we move further into the park, we have the water play and the new combined entrance opposite 84th Street. There would be another rather large seating area for picnicking and birthday parties near the comfort station, and that could be a nice gathering place for everybody using the park. It would also help to separate the kids areas from the adult areas, and then next to that we would have a large shaded adult fitness area. The basketball and the handball are currently outside of our contract due to financial constraints. The fencing diagram that we came up with was we'd replace the 8-foot fence along the athletic field side. Along Colonial Road and 83rd, we would be putting a new 4-foot height steel picket fence. And then the interior fencing would all be 2- and 3-foot fence, steel fence. The existing lighting, or the proposed lighting scheme, is we'd like to keep a lot of the existing lights, but add 5 lights along the 2 main circulation paths. And then our site furnishings are all standard, I think. The tot tables aren't standard, but that's something we've used in the past at different projects. And then painted games and more standard features, comfort station mounted drinking fountain. And then for our fitness equipment, it's sort of our standard palette of fitness equipment, but we did want to include the fitness rack, which is similar to what's on site now, which would give enough space, I think, for the folks using that. I think it has 3 different heighted bars, and I forget exactly the heights, but I think it's 6, 7, and 8 feet, but it might be 7, 8, and 9 feet. I'll have to check. But the rest is a good mix of arms, legs, and other types of activities. There's plenty of accessible features. For the play equipment, we've been working with a manufacturer on the design of it. This is not the actual 3D rendering of what we've got in the works, but it's an example of the type of equipment that we'd like to use. We are able to ramp up as high as we can in both the 2 to 5 and the 5 to 12. There's going to be lots of slides and climbing stuff. And the color palette that we'd like to use is on the slide. In the spray area, again, just like the play equipment, we've just started working with the manufacturer, but this is a good idea of the types of sprays that we would like to include. And then our plant palette, these are the trees. They're pretty hardy and can take city living, so we like them, and they're good shade trees. And our shrubs and perennials are also things that we've used in the past that are hardy and low maintenance, and we think would be nice in the park to provide more of a park feel. And there's our schematic.
Great, thank you, Mike, so much. So yeah, so is there any questions or anything like that?
Not a question. I'm just,
Okay,
sorry.
Richard?
No, I was going to say, this looks great. I like all the new water fountains, the additional lighting. One thing, and I know this isn't your fault, it's a shame that the handball courts aren't part of this contract, just because I know there's an area over there that just floods. It just stays. It doesn't drain, I guess. But otherwise, this looks really great. So thanks for coming to us with this.
Are there plans in the future for the basketball and handball courts?
There are some pretty tentative plans at the moment. We don't have funding for it, but we have thought about it and how the site would be would work with our schematic of the playground. It's pretty internal and undeveloped at the moment, but if funding were to be made available, that project could move, I suppose. But.
Yeah, at the moment, there's no funding to include that. So yeah.
But nothing about this design would conflict with a future renovation.
No, and when we do our design, the utilities that we'd be putting in, whether it's water lines or drainage lines or electric, we would kind of build them out to the edge so that to add those things in the new part would be relatively easy. We wouldn't have to rip up the existing work to make those connections.
Okay. Also, the comfort station, is there going to be any upgrades to that, or is that just standard the way it is now?
So we will be putting in a new RPZ in the comfort station, but we don't have money to do any other work on that, I don't believe. And I don't know if there's any future plans or funding for that at the moment.
And the entrance on the 83rd Street side, that's going to be similar to the one on Colonial Road? It's just going to be an opening into it?
It'll be a little bit more of an entrance. I've got kind of drawn in there a couple of benches on the outside of the fence. It'll be a nice 4-foot steel double gate, and there's, the entry kind of leads right into that seating area. We'll see what else we can do in that space. I mean, maybe throw some bike racks in, and but we would like to make it more welcoming and feel like it's part of the park, kind of drawing the sidewalk into the park a little bit.
Okay.
And so the old entrance on 83rd Street, like where the swings are, that'll be closed?
Yeah, we're gonna seal that up because that would lead right into the swings, and we don't think that an entrance into the side of the swing set is that great of an idea. So I think the corner entrance will make more than make up for that, since I don't know if anyone else has, but I've never seen that gate unlocked. So
so Henry, there's a member of the public who has his hand raised.
Yeah, sure.
So let's see, Joe Feldman, I know he was a former friend of Russell Peterson Playground. Joe, did you have a question?
We might have it typed into chat.
Okay, if there are problems in the park at night, how can it be locked up? So this park for a period of time had a friends group because of extensive vandalism, unfortunately. So the park was locked in the PM hours. With the new fencing, with if that was needed, would that be able? I'm not really sure with the new entrance, that fence be able to be locked by Parks Department?
So all the new fencing would have new gates that would be lockable. Part of our idea of trying to make the park more welcoming and more inviting is to lower fences. So it would still just be a 4-foot fence around it, but the gates would definitely be able to be locked.
And they're part, as operationally, they're part of the rounds that of if the playgrounds are locked at night, so it would still be, that it wouldn't be exempt from that just because the fence changed.
And you mentioned picket, right?
Yeah, it's our standard steel fence.
Okay. Another question in the chat is, where does the water drain from the park? Because Colonial Road does have a flooding issue during heavy rainfall. Is there any drainage that has been added as part of this plan?
We haven't gotten too deep into the drainage yet, but we would be rebuilding the entire drainage system within the park. I'm not sure about any additional connections. I know the existing connections are out to Colonial Road, and we would keep those.
Okay. So the issue on Colonial Road from Bay Ridge Parkway to about, 85th Street is during heavy rains, especially 83rd, 84th Street, the water pitches toward Shore Road. And in the recent storm, we had terrible flooding on Colonial, 83rd and 84th Street. A lot of residents experienced flooding, so it's fresh on everyone's mind. So if we could just make a note looking at the drainage, I think would be important here.
Yeah, we did actually with all our sites. Drainage is definitely something we look at, but also now there's new DEP regulations in terms of controlling the stormwater. So as we get further into the project, we're in the process now of getting soil borings and percolation tests, and a lot of that will help drive us with the underground drainage issues.
Okay, great. And also, I just want to mention for the committee, the Department of Environmental Protection is also studying the main sewer pipe there because of recurring flooding.
Okay.
I think there was another question in the chat.
Yes.
From Wei, how will the new fencing around the renovation work transition into the handball and basketball court fencing? Or is the entire park getting new fencing and only the interior area of the NIC work will not be included?
We're not doing work in the handball and basketball, so we wouldn't be redoing fencing there because that would limit our ability to do work in the future. But in the plans that we've come up with, we would be able to probably extend the 4-foot steel fence that would be surrounding on 83rd and Colonial all the way down to the corner of 85th Street. There would still need to be sports fencing around the courts. So for those, we would be talking 12-foot and 16-foot chain link. But that would be primarily just around the courts.
Another question. So we will have new fencing tying into the old, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
There was another question in the chat. What will contain the steady stream of leaves and garbage from blowing out of the park?
So that is a good question. I think, operationally, we have rounds of people that clean up the park and things like that. I think this one is a bit more on the discussion of the actual design of the playground and any feedback or anything like that. But we can, if there is a notable issue with trash or anything like that in the park and garbage, that's very good to know. I'll relate that to our operational staff on the ground.
Great. Thank you. So do you know where the garbage and recycle bins will be placed?
In our schematic, they're kind of hard to see just because of the scale of the drawing, but there are garbage cans throughout, and all the entrances have them. The seating areas each have a couple, I think. Additionally, on Colonial Road, there will be sort of a trash collection vestibule that will be used by the maintenance and operations folks to sort of gather stuff and get it away from the entrances, and allow the packer truck to come by and pick it up. But yeah, there are many trash cans throughout the site.
Okay, great. Okay, I don't see any more questions. Henry?
Yeah, no, I don't have any more questions.
Oh, wait, there's one more question. Hold on, one more question. And the drainage from the park connect into the drainage system from the ball field?
I don't, I, I think that would cause issues for us in construction because of the large retaining wall on the athletic field side of the park. I'm not also really aware if we can connect to the ball field drainage, since that was done by the school construction authority not too long ago. You know, I'm not sure feasibly it would make sense.
Well, and then the other issue is the large trees that are just on that side. For us to do that, we'd have to basically go through the retaining wall, and then also the amount of roots that we'd end up cutting to try and, even if we could try in together, we'd probably end up killing the trees, which it would sort of be preventative to do that.
Okay, another question is, what will the flooring under the jungle gym and swing areas be like?
That will all be our standard rubber tile safety surface. I have two.
Is there a spec for that in here?
I think there's an image back a couple slides. It's just a
If you
small
go back
swatch.
if you go back to the materials.
On the play equipment slide there, it was sitting right there.
Oh, sorry, guys.
That's all right.
Safety surface.
Oh, there it is.
So for the fitness, we would do that green marble, and then on the different play equipments would have a tan marble and a green marble.
Ah, there.
Yeah.
Another question is, there is currently a floor piano installed in the park for perhaps the Spectrum kids. Will this be replaced with new?
It's not currently in the plans to replace it.
Wade, do you have a follow-up? Can it be considered?
We've got in our two play areas, there are going to be a lot of sensory panels and other things that would sort of replicate some of the play value of the piano. But yeah, we don't have any plans to add it in the current design.
Okay. Also, are there swings for disabled children?
Yeah, there will be one bay in each the 8-foot swings and the 10-foot swings that will have accessible swings.
Great, thank you.
What's the timeline for this?
So our normal design schedule, I would be from now until about December doing the contract drawings and the contract book. After that, we would transmit it, and it goes to the Office of Management and Budget for procurement, which usually takes about a year. And then after that, construction would start, and construction is usually given another year. So unless there's another pandemic or something else that delays construction start, roughly, I guess, 2.5 years from now, we'd be ribbon cutting.
That's tentative again because of COVID. just so yeah, you know,
Yeah.
There's things are still up in the air with a lot of these construction projects, but as Mike was saying, that's definitely, I think that's doable.
Will this construction be phased? If not, where is the nearest park for families to go?
I can show we have a map of kind of a, bring it all the way back here.
I'd imagine like 79th Street.
Yeah, but this, for something on this, we would not be phasing it. It would just be too hard for the contractor to do it, and it would probably drag the construction on a little bit longer. So for this one, this section would be closed. We could probably open up the fence to, and maybe close off, say, the handball or open up the handball and the basketball with possibly a separate entrance. But the playground area would definitely be closed during construction, the entire area.
And that, as Dennis is saying, that part kind of stinks, losing it. But the beauty of that is at the end, you kind of rip the Band-Aid off and you have a full new park instead of phase small chunks and chunks and chunks. It's like you kind of just have to do it. And that's the only safe way to do it for everybody. And
it also has to do with the utilities underground. It's hard to do part utilities and then come back and do another area. So for this one, it would just be quicker also to do the whole thing at once.
Okay.
All right. Oh, would the ball courts and the basketball court stay open during construction?
They could definitely stay open.
I think by then even they may be done.
Yeah.
You mean up near by the field up here?
And the not in contract elements just off to the north, south there.
Right.
Yeah. The handball.
Yeah, this is a separate project. Right.
Yeah. So those can stay open during construction theoretically.
Yes.
Makes sense.
Yes, and well, that's the other thing too, is hopefully by the time this does go into construction, then theoretically the other ones should be completed by then. The tennis courts and the basketball courts.
All right.
Yeah, there's a question about when is that supposed to happen? The Fort Hamilton courts. Would it overlap with this project, or it would be?
I don't.
I think they just started construction on that.
Yeah, about a week and a half ago, they just that was the order to work was started for the Fort Hamilton courts.
And we received funding for that significantly earlier than this project, but yeah,
so
it should be starting soon.
Right, so there won't be overlap there.
Yeah. Hopefully not.
Hopefully.
Definitely not. Yeah. And, yeah.
All right,
We want that. We want it to not overlap at all.
Right. Okay. I don't see any more questions. Henry?
Okay.
You know what? I'm going to end the screen share so we could all see.
Let me
Here we are. Okay, so Henry, I'll turn it back to you. So the New York State Department of Parks is requesting a recommendation on the design of Russell Peterson Playground. So I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. Do we have a motion to support the design?
So
Dan, do we have a second? Justin.
Right.
Right.
Okay. Now, any discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to put up the polling feature only for board members. Okay, so board members on the committee, you can vote now just so we have it on the record. Okay. I'm going to share results. It's unanimous in favor. Thank you so much, all.
Thank you.
Are we we're in quorum too?
Yes.
Thank you. Great.
Perfect.
Great. Thank you so much. That's great for getting that to us.
Okay, all. And that's the only item on the agenda.
Okay, great. Well, thanks to the Parks Department. It's a great looking plan.